Hello all of you wonderful individuals, and welcome back to another video for the day. We are heading back into r/AmITheDevil because sometimes only one person be asking in the room, who is the a-hole? Is it me? I don't know, but I'm still going to make a whole multi-paragraph essay asking random people on the internet, am I in the wrong? And yet they still, for some reason, question things. So if you guys would like to be absolutely amazing, show your support, and see more videos like this one in the near future, be sure to hit that like button, leave a comment down below to start up them wholesome internet discussions, and if you guys have not already, subscribe to the channel and turn on them notifications. Also, if you'd like to save 10% with GamerSupps, use code Tommy at checkout, or click the link down below. I, 26am, enforced a boundary with my 19F girlfriend, and she broke up with me. Yes, but the actual response in the posting to the subreddit, I, 26am, enforced a boundary with my 19F girlfriend, and she broke up with me. How is it my fault that she is already too mature to put up with my aggressive BS? I, 26am, that's the title from the top part, my 26am girlfriend, 19F, and I have been together for about a year now. She is very spoiled and is used to getting what she wants, but I don't give in to her and let her manipulate me. Well, anyways, to make a long story short, she is still in college and she commutes, so she is living with her parents. I live about 3 hours away for work, and I come home on weekends. Her parents always tell me to come and stay at her place on the weekends, that I come home, but I never want them to feel taken advantage of, so this is something I'm not comfortable with. I've made it clear that I'll only stay one night out of the weekend, not both. And I'll stay with my own parents the other night. I still want to hang out with her, just not stay the nights both nights. Of course, this means less time with her. Well, she is sick right now, and I stayed the night Friday night. She was feeling pretty miserable yesterday and started giving me a hard time about staying Saturday night too, because she wanted to cuddles and company. I was ready to leave with my jacket on when she started in on me. I upheld my boundary, and I told her that I would not do it. She got really upset, and brought up how her parents are fine, and it wouldn't feel taken advantage of. Well, after she wouldn't stop pestering me, I admit in a moment of anger that I gave in to her and took my jacket off and slammed it down on the dining room table. Not half a second later, she said something like, "Oh no, absolutely not, I changed my mind." She then asked me to leave because she said that I shouldn't get that mad at the thought of staying with my sick girlfriend. I told her it doesn't matter, I already decided to stay, and she said, "I don't care. I changed my mind and I am asking you to leave." I told her I wasn't going to leave after she just pestered me for 10 minutes until I finally gave in. I was pretty shocked at what she said next, but she told me, "Then I'm breaking up with you right now. I don't need to feel this way." She was being very blunt and just kept saying, "Go, go, just get your things and go," among other things. She wasn't yelling, just saying things like, "I'm young and beautiful, and I don't need some guy to make me feel this way. And this isn't the first time you've made me feel like Dookie." I wasn't thinking to myself, whatever, if she can't make up her mind or whether or not I should just stay or go, then she's obviously got some issues. She walked me to the door and locked it after I walked out. She actually said goodbye when I was walking out. I thought, there's no way in heck she's serious. But this morning I texted her asking if we could talk and I haven't heard back. I don't know what you're going to do. I don't feel I did anything wrong. I think she's just upset she didn't get what she wanted from me. And if that's the case, did I dodge a bullet? Or did I really F up by not staying? I haven't talked about this to anyone yet. Thanks in advance. I feel like if she was that up for breaking up with you, then there's probably some parts of this that you were not bringing into the light. And that does not really seem okay at all. A failed applicant has accused our business of not hiring him or other black people on account of race. Can he sue us based on that accusation alone? And can we sue him for slandering our business? We are in Cook County, Illinois. My brother and I own a small business that we built from scratch while in college, and we are doing quite well. Recently, our manager left us to move out of state with his wife. He was and is a good friend of ours for a long time, and he'd been with us since we started up the business. Until now, we had been hiring from among people that we know, or at the very least on the basis of recommendations for people that we know. There are many benefits to this, not least because we know who we're dealing with, and knowing who you're dealing with, liking them, and feeling comfortable with them is just as important as, if not more important, than on-paper qualifications. To our dismay, we had a rough time finding people who were not only liked, but could do what we needed to be done. So we posted an ad online. Of all the junk we got, one application really stuck out. He didn't give a phone number and said that he didn't have social media to link to. Red flag. And he was well qualified and liked the way that he wrote, so I scheduled a meeting. As soon as he came in and introduced himself, it became apparent that he had misrepresented himself in his emails. And within 5 minutes, I was absolutely sure that he wasn't getting hired. His qualifications were good, but I didn't like him, and he wouldn't fit in. So it wasn't happening. I rushed the interview along and got him out of my office, thinking that my actions had communicated my disinterest. We wound up promoting one of the guys that worked for us into a vacant position the next day, and easily replaced him in his previous role 2 days after that. About a week after the interview, the guy came in and asked about the job. I told him a version of the truth, that he didn't seem like a good fit, and we have already filled the position. Instead of graciously accepting what he should have already known, this guy had a tantrum. He accused me of not hiring him because he was black, called us racist who would rather hire a less qualified white man over a black man with an MBA, and said that it's obvious that we discriminate because all of our employees are white, and there is no excuse for that in Chicago. I told him that the reason that he wasn't hired was because I didn't like his attitude, and I didn't think that he was a good fit, and that going to school and getting pieces of paper weren't the only things that make someone qualified. I then told him to leave before I called the police, and then he threatened to sue us and called me a racist redacted. Does it sound like he has any grounds to sue us? Do we have any grounds to sue him for slandering our business? I could really care less about the accusation itself, but it can hurt our reputation. I'm asking if there is here any, instead of going straight to a lawyer, as lawyers can be quite expensive, if it seems like we may need a lawyer, we will get one. But we don't want to spend the cash if it's nothing. Regardless of what goes on in our heads, or what my brother and I say in private conversation about another or with our wives, we have never given any public indication that we discriminate in our hiring process. Every instance that we have been in a situation of having to turn away a bad fit, we have always given a plausible reason, and haven't ever been stupid enough to say to them that we say to ourselves and one another. The composition of our workplace relative to the demographics of the area can be explained by the fact that we mostly hire from amongst our friends, aka family. But I don't think that it needs to be explained, since as a private entity, we aren't bound to any sort of racial quota. That last little bit that you happen to be saying about talking in private, that just has everybody thinking, yeah, you know, hey, congrats on admitting to something, but you're just wondering how the public got to know about it. First off, you're posting on a public online forum about things, and you wonder, how did the internet happen to find out about this? Now look, listen, I think we might have said it privately, but how would they happen to have known of whether or not this got out or not? Overall, I just never really understood anybody having a job needing to see your social media, because you could just give them a bogus one that you never use, has like a couple of posts and it's like, yeah, I have this, but I never use it, and it would really be none the wiser, because you are not obligated to have a social media account. But also, if you're primarily going to be hiring people that are your friends or friends of friends, then why would you put out something the public and then get upset when people in the public happen to apply? If anything, it's more so weird on the business for them to be asking about a social media account. If anything, that just makes me think that I should have an alternate social media account just for looking good in front of businesses because for some reason they require that. Struggling to stay faithful and remain attracted to my 34M, wife 28F, after we experienced a violent attack together. Not sure what to do. I can't talk to anyone about this for obvious reasons. I even tried speaking to a therapist and they made me feel so low, I haven't gone back since. My wife and I have been together for 6 years and married for 3. We currently have a bundle of joy on the way, and she's about 5 months along. My wife was always on the fence about kids, but I was adamant about wanting them, and now that it's becoming so real, I'm not sure anymore. I feel like I've just been on autopilot, and after spending this whole week buying baby stuff, I need to figure it out. Last year, my wife and I were at the park relaxing, like we do most every weekend, and someone yelled at us for speaking in my native language, Korean. My wife is trying to learn too, because she is not Korean, or Asian at all, but wants to only speak Korean at home to make sure our family is fully bilingual and they don't lose their culture. We were practicing out loud and sharing a snack with this guy just walks up to us, and out of nowhere with a wild racist BS, he kicked our food and there was some arguing, and while I was calling the police with my back turned, he tried to hit me with a pretty hard rock. My wife jumped in between and ended up taking the full force of the hit, which literally busted her forehead open and knocked her out cold for almost a minute. I rushed my wife to the hospital, and the guy ran off and was eventually caught by police a few weeks later. My wife needed 14 stitches right across her face, and had 2 black eyes and blood in them. Her face was swollen beyond recognition for a few days, too, and when she fell, messed up an old knee injury, so when she got out of the hospital the next day, half of her face was covered in bandages, and she was limping. But she was still cracking jokes in the ER. After the bandages and stitches came out, she was told that she would need to wait at least a year before having her scar surgically fixed or whatever treatments. But now that the year is almost passed, I've started hinting at her scheduling appointments and such. This entire time, I've been struggling with remaining attracted to her despite it, but didn't tell her, but since I didn't want to be cruel. She is now saying she doesn't think she wants to get anything done because she wants to save the money for the baby. I've offered to pay for half of it, and she still hasn't really looked into having it done. I've also pushed back her meeting my parents again of this. They live outside of our country, hence why they haven't met yet, and bringing her around my friends since it happened. Another part of me is also just sort of mad that she even did it. I feel like half of a man now that I've had to delete myself off of dating apps before making a mistake and been channeling it all into the gym, but every time I look at her, I'm reminded of all of those things. She hasn't changed a bit besides the scar. She's obviously handled it way better than I did, and somehow it's making me love her less. Plus the pregnancy, I don't even know what to do. I thought about asking for a hall pass, but I know without a doubt that she will leave me. I thought about taking care of my needs on the side so that I can be the man she needs to be, but I know that she will eventually find out and she will hate me and make my life hell. Or leave me a single father and I will never hear from her again. I just wish it had never happened, but I really need some other perspective or opinion on this. Hold up, you mean to tell me that just because your wife got a scar on her face, you're thinking of leaving her? Tell me that ain't something where it's just strictly appearances that you're attracted to, dude. She's still the same person on the inside. You thinking that just because she happened to have a scar on her face means that the relationship is ruined and you don't find her attractive anymore? That doesn't really mean that you're interested in her outside of appearances much. Am I the AOL for not wanting to pay for my wife's spending money? A throwaway account because people who know me are on here. Before the birth of our daughter, my wife and I both worked full-time in low-middle earning jobs, with my wife earning a bit more than I, but not by much. My wife returned to work out of necessity when our daughter was 3 months old. Her mental health became pretty bad, and she has a minor disability that makes work life a little hard, and she found it a bit worse after having our daughter, but we had to do what we had to do. My wife's nan, who sort of raised her and was her only family, passed away sadly when our daughter was 6 months old. My wife inherited everything that she owned. It was a big inheritance. Not enough for us both to immediately retire, but a lot. Enough for us to buy a decent house outright, a new car each, and put some money away for a comfortable retirement. Shortly after her nan died, my wife stopped working and became a stay-at-home mom, partially due to grief and struggles at her job, and a bit because she always would have preferred to stay at home with our daughter. The thing is though, I'd rather not work and be a stay-at-home dad too, but I've been sucking it up because we still need an income to get by. My wife spoke with me recently about how to budget so that we can live off of just my income. She'd been dipping into savings to pull her weight, and that's all tied up in investments now. I said if I'm the one who has to work, and I'd rather not, I don't think I should have to spend my money funding her hobbies and spending money. If she chooses not to work, then she can buy clothes at the charity shop instead of new and get a friend to cut her hair for free, etc. Or she can get a job working a night shift or start an online business or something to fund her spending money. I don't see why I should have to pay for stuff like her sewing materials and gym memberships, since I don't benefit from them and they're not my responsibility. I'm happy to pay for stuff for our daughter, seeing as she is my responsibility, so I don't think I'm being unreasonable here. I work 36 hours a week, and I already pay for the bills and food. She said that's not fair if I get to enjoy my gym membership and hobbies like video games, but the difference is I'm paying for them with my money. My wife said her inheritance was worth more than if she spent her whole life working, and without that, both of us would be working anyways and having higher expenses from paying a mortgage and car loans, so I should count that as her contribution and share my money with her. Am I the a-hole? Yeah! I'm gonna say this with the most appropriateness. You do realize, you dumbass, that she is the reason that you happen to have a roof over your head paid outright and a car to drive that is your own that you don't have to share outright, right? I mean, if you want to play the whole game of let's take things away from each other until we're both paying for stuff just by ourselves, you do realize you're going to be just couch surfing, right? But with that, that is going to have to be it with the video. I know that this is one of the shorter of the storytime format videos, but I hope you guys did enjoy it all the same. And if you guys would like to see more videos like this one in the near future, be sure to hit the like button, be amazing, leave a comment down below if you have not already. And if also you have not already, subscribe to the channel and turn on the notifications. If you want to see more content like this right away, feel free to click the playlist in the end card also. I'll be sure to see you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for watching, and bye-bye!